You know how we're always told to load up on vitamin C to fight off colds? Well, what if the most powerful source of vitamin C out there doesn't actually work the way we think it does? Today, we're diving into the seabuckthorn berry. It's this tiny orange fruit with a massive reputation. But does the science really back up the hype? Let's find out.
Okay, so when you think vitamin C, your brain probably jumps straight to an orange, right? And yeah, that makes sense. They've got about 53 milligrams per 100 grams. But look at this. Sea buckthorn can have up to 900 milligrams. That's not just a little more. That is a whole different ballgame.
So with a number like that, you'd think this berry has to be the ultimate cold killer, right? It just makes sense. But is that really true? Does drinking a bunch of sea buckthorn juice actually mean you're going to get sick less? That is the big question we're tackling today.
So, what exactly is this berry with the off-the-charts vitamin C content? Let's start from the beginning and get to know the source of all this excitement.
Sea buckthorn, or Hippophae rhamnoides if you want to get fancy, is this really tough little shrub that grows in parts of Europe and Asia. Now, its bright orange berries are super tart, so you're probably not going to see anyone just snacking on them raw. Instead, they get processed into things like juice, puree, and oils, which are a lot easier to handle.
So that crazy amount of vitamin C? That's just the headline. What gets really interesting is the whole cocktail of other powerful compounds packed inside these little berries. It's this stuff that has researchers so curious. So let's crack one open and see what's really going on inside.
All right, we've already talked about the superstar, vitamin C. But that's just the opening act. It's also jam-packed with carotenoids and vitamin E. Think of these as tiny bodyguards for your cells, protecting them from damage. Then you've got flavonoids and polyphenols, which can actually help fine-tune your immune system's response. And get this, it has a pretty unique fatty acid omega-7, which is known for its anti-inflammatory potential.
And this isn't just a guess. In the lab, under a microscope, scientists have actually watched these compounds get to work. They've seen them fire up immune cells and signal a reduction in inflammation. So you can see why this built up so much hype and really set the stage for putting it to the ultimate test in humans.
So yeah, the lab results look amazing. But here's the million-dollar question. Does any of that actually work in real live people? Well, a major clinical trial was designed to find out just that.
So to get a real answer, the researchers went big. They brought in 254 healthy volunteers. That's a big enough group to make sure the results weren't just a fluke.
And this was a serious commitment. We're talking 3 straight months, right through an entire cold and flu season. Every day, these volunteers took a dose of sea buckthorn puree to see what would happen over time.
After all of that, the entire massive study really just boiled down to one simple big question. Could this so-called superfruit actually keep people from getting sick?
And the answer was no. A flat no. The trial found zero difference in the number of colds or how long they lasted between the sea buckthorn group and the placebo group. The big expectation of it being a cold cure, it just didn't happen.
But wait, if you think that's the end of the story, you are in for a surprise. Because while everyone was looking for a cold cure, the researchers found something else entirely. Something, well, maybe even more important, hidden away in the blood work.
So let me introduce you to something called C-reactive protein, or CRP. The easiest way to think about it is like a smoke detector for your body. When that CRP number is high, it's a warning sign that there's some kind of low-level, chronic inflammation simmering in the background, the kind that's linked to all sorts of long-term health problems. And here's the twist in the whole story. The group taking the sea buckthorn, they showed a statistically significant drop in their CRP levels. So let's be super clear here. It didn't stop a single sniffle, but it was actively lowering a key marker for chronic inflammation in their bodies.
And honestly, this is just a beautiful example of how science works. The researchers went in looking for one thing and found something completely different. They concluded the trial showed, and I'm quoting them directly here, a real anti-inflammatory effect in humans. So the berry failed the test everyone thought it would pass, but it aced a different one that might be even more important.
Okay, so now that we know all this, how can we actually use this information? Let's talk about some practical advice. All right, first things first, the dose matters. The study used about 28 grams of puree a day, which works out to about 300 milliliters of juice. Second, try to find products that are minimally processed. You want to make sure all those good nutrients haven't been cooked away. And maybe the most important thing, set your expectations right. You're not buying a magic cold cure. You're looking at potential long-term support for fighting inflammation.
Now, before you run out and add this to your cart, this is really important. It's not for everybody. We have to cover some key safety points.
Because of how it works in the body, if you're on blood thinners or diabetes medication, you definitely need to be careful. Of course, like with anything, allergies are possible, even if they're rare. And it's probably best to just avoid it if you're pregnant or about to have surgery. Unless, of course, your doctor gives you the green light.
You know, the story of seabuckthorn is just a great reminder that a food's real value isn't always the obvious one. We went looking for a simple cold remedy, and instead, we found an inflammation fighter. And that really leaves us with a fascinating question to chew on. What other hidden benefits are we missing in the everyday foods we eat?